What's up YouTube, and welcome to my pickups video for the month of March 2026. This was quite a weird month for a few reasons. Number one, I did not do any travel and didn't really get to get out anywhere to do game hunting in new places that I hadn't been or places I had been before. So all my game hunting was confined to locally within my St. Louis market as well as online. And to that note, very light month of pickups, like extremely light. And then the other thing that made this month unique was I actually did some selling of games, which is very rare. I tend to just pile on, hoard, and keep, but I started going through my game room. I had some downtime and realized that I'm really getting short on space in a few pockets of my room, and I kind of put two and two together on like what some areas were that I could trim. And it really felt like Sega Genesis was a good place to start because the cases are just so big, they take up a lot of space, and the majority of my games were in boxes. So did some soul searching, really went through, kind of curated some things that I wanted to move on, and pulled out a stack. Found that kind of therapeutic, got a few games sold on eBay, and then pulled some more, and then pulled some more. So not a major cut, but again, just a nice little trim. Bought me a little bit of space in the room for that section, and that's going to be helpful just as I move some things around. Also went through a few other consoles. You know, some things I saw that I could probably trim a little bit was original Xbox. I had some games that just I probably never had even played. A couple PS2 titles, and then some Nintendo DS games as well. DS I just really stocked up about the year or two before COVID, when that stuff was rock bottom. I was buying stuff just based on genre and theme, and not even really exploring what the games were all about, and just decided, you know what, might as well buy them now, never going to get cheaper, which tended to be the case. And so now that prices have gone up quite a bit on DS, I was actually a little surprised on that system in particular. Seemed to be a good time to start selling a few things off. So again, no crisis in play. I didn't really need the money for anything, but I just thought it'd be nice to make some room in the game room, and of course that can fund more pickups. So we'll see where that goes in the coming months. Maybe do a little bit more trimming, and otherwise just got myself a little bit of space back, which is nice. So that being said, the combination of lack of travel and spending my energy on cutting games versus purchasing games, there isn't a whole lot to show this month. But I have one game that I definitely want to talk a little bit more extensively about, just because I'm pretty passionate about the return of this series. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start talking about that. First game that we're going to cover is Tokyo Xtreme Racer for the PS5, and this is the Japanese version of the game. This game does not have a US release, nor is there one planned by any publisher, which is really sad and strange to me at this time. So I went ahead and got the Japanese version. There's also a Asian version. It doesn't matter which one you get because they are fully in English. They have an English language setting for them, and you can enjoy these completely in English. You don't need to wait for a translation for these. So very nice to see that. It's not something you always find. I just think that this series has been a big favorite of mine for many years. If you're unfamiliar, the Tokyo Xtreme Racer series, which is the US name, which is kind of funny because now it's even carried over into the Japanese market, was really known as the Shutokou Battle series. And those went back all the way to the Super Famicom in Japan. I didn't get on board during that generation, but I got on board with the PS1 when we got Tokyo Highway Battle. So they brought the series over with that title. Low-key released by Jalico. Graphics weren't great, but very addictive gameplay style, and it really carried forward into all the other games in the series that I've come to love over the years. So if you've never played one of these, the best way to describe them is they're kind of like a fighting game with cars. And so what you do is you're racing the Japanese highway system at night on genuine highways, mapped out to varying effects of what authenticity they have. And you're using cars that never used to be licensed in the earlier releases, but then over time the brands, I guess, decided to go ahead and license the vehicles to them. Genki is the developer of the series and has been for some time. And what you do is, in these short little bursts, you cruise the highways at night, and you ultimately look for people from rival gangs that you want to face off in battle. You flash your lights at them, and if they engage with you, you are off to the races, so to say, and you are trying to beat them in a short burst. Basically pass them up for an extended amount of time, and then that gives you the win in the battle. Very deep system for what you do with those winnings after every time you beat a rival. So sometimes you gain abilities from the rival gang or like logos from their cars. The customization of the cars in these games is fantastic. So not only just can you tune the car with different suspension, brakes, tires, stuff like that as a normal racing game you can, but the customization is off the charts. You can do all kinds of crazy graphics, you can add all kinds of ground effects and other effects to the vehicle. Neon lighting, you name it, whatever, however you want to rice out your vehicle, this series has got you covered. So if you like the Pimp My Ride generation, this is also up your alley. That's not necessarily what drove me to the series, but I just really like the bursts of quick action without a whole lot of fanfare. They're very arcadey in how they play and handle. You know, it's kind of pinball effect as far as how the cars bounce off each other. It's not necessarily true simulation like a Gran Turismo, but it is very, very fun and easy to pick up and play. So, the series got many, many releases over the years. It came out on the PS1, as I said, was the first one in the US. You had games on the PS2, Sega Dreamcast, Xbox 360 got, I believe, the last release in the US, which was Import Tutor Challenge. Got another rebrand and different name. And then even the Sony PSP got a release under the title Street Supremacy. So, I mean, the series just keeps getting renamed a million different things. But the one title that seems to have stuck better than the others is Tokyo Xtreme Racer, even from the US side. And then now, like I said, they're using that even for the Japanese release. So, what is this game? Well, this is a welcome return to form. The series kind of went away for the last 20 years or so. It's really been gone for quite some time after getting a large succession of releases. And here we are back again, and it really just feels like a rebirth of what made the series great. There's nothing wildly unique or different about this one, but it's a great entry point. It's just as easy to pick up and play as the other ones, and some of the enhancements really just make it very nice to play. One thing they did that I think is unique to this one, maybe it went back the last couple releases, I'd have to go back and check, is that when you win the battles, you win like battle points, or BP I think they call it, and you change them for perks, and what those perks are differ in all kinds of different ways, which makes it honestly like an RPG. So you might be buying the ability to upgrade the engine on the car, and then you still have to buy the upgraded engine parts as a separate purchase from the shop. You might be buying the ability to do more damage to opponents. You might be buying the ability to buy parts at a discount. You might be buying more customization options. But all those things are within your realm of what you do with your BP, which gives you a lot of control over how the game plays out. So, very interested in exploring that further with the perk system. It does add a little bit more complication because you earn funds, which you have to use to still buy the stuff, but then you have to earn the BP to be able to unlock things through the perk system. So, not a game you're going to race through in any fast fashion. It's one that's going to give you a lot of depth to play for quite some time. So, my experience with this particular title, I initially was waiting, thinking that, you know, surely a US publisher will pick this up. If you see some of the junk that comes out on PS5 these days, this is a pretty polished B-tier title as far as production value, and it seems very strange that a US publisher hasn't signed off for this yet, but so far nothing, even limited run, nothing like that, not a peep. So I figured I'll just go ahead and grab it, and I was shopping around online from Japanese sellers. I have a few that I've used in the past, but I've really slowed down my import buying just due to the tariffs, which we're all faced with in the US. And I decided to go ahead and buy this from PlayAsia, which I hadn't bought from in probably a decade, it feels like. I'd really been avoiding them for a long time. Not a great experience, so I ordered this at the very beginning of the month when it came out. It sat in order queue for like 2 weeks before they did anything with it. And then when they finally dispatched it from Hong Kong, it still took like another week and a half to get here, which I understand that's uncontrollable. But I just thought their service level was kind of weird. Just, you know, if you advertise a game in stock, it should be ready to go. But my take on PlayAsia and several of the other companies like that is they're just drop shippers. They're buying this stuff at retail and selling it, or, you know, getting it from a wholesaler. But they may not actually have the games in stock on the shelf, even though they just released. So that seemed to be my experience with this. And to the detriment that even though I ordered it very early in the month, it just showed up yesterday. So at the very end of the month. But I did put a few hours into it last night, genuinely enjoyed it, and looking forward to playing this more. And again, just, you know, I'm very long-winded about this, but if you haven't explored this series, I highly recommend checking it out further. They also had side story games known as Kaido Battle in Japan, which were mountain drift racing games. But the same concept, just short battles that you did through the Japanese countryside mountains versus the highways at night. So very similar theme. And I played those games. I was so loyal to those games. I played the Japanese versions of those on the PS2 when they came out, long before they got a US release, and they were in full Japanese. So I struggled my way through some of the translation with that just because I enjoyed the series so much and I really had fun with those. So if you haven't, definitely check out some of the earlier titles in the series, but this one seems to be a winner, and really happy to see this on the PS5, and I hope surely somebody is going to put this out in the US at some point, but if they don't, you're covered either way because it's fully in English, it's ready to go. So looking forward to playing this more, and hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of my backstory with the series since I had some extra time due to the lack of pickups. So, guess what? That is the only game I bought all month, which is crazy. Like, I don't even know why I couldn't really find much that caught my eye other than that. But I did get one other thing for my collection. I'm sure you're well aware I'm chasing the full set of NES manuals. Getting fairly close. There are still some very heavy titles that I still need manuals for. But it is pretty impressive how much ground I've made with that collection over the years. The one thing I'll say, though, is just the ability to find those in the wild has really, really dried up. Even when I'm out traveling and I still ask at game stores, hey, do you have any loose manuals? The answer is more commonly becoming no, or it's just whatever they have is stuff I already have, just because I'm getting so close to the set. So I finally started poking around on eBay, and I'm like, look, there's a few of these titles that are just cheap. I don't even need to mess around. Why don't I just start, making some offers and seeing if I can get anything that I can add to the collection cheaply, knowing I'll have to pay shipping on these, which I'm not really a fan of, considering how light a manual is. But I did get one that a seller accepted my lowball offer, and so happy to add one NES manual to my collection this month, which is Capcom's Gold Medal Challenge 92. One of the Capcom titles you really don't hear many people talk about. Came out toward kind of the end of the NES library. Isn't officially Olympics related or track and field related, but it's kind of that genre if you've played those types of games. And I guess Capcom was seeing if they wanted to put full energy in making these an ongoing series, but it doesn't really seem like they ever pursued this again, which is kind of interesting because a lot of game companies from Japan were making track and field type games, your Konamis and things like that over the years. So interesting, just one-off for Capcom's library that they put this out, and I don't think that they made a whole lot of these for NES, but this one has never really taken off in price, nor it probably won't happen just because of limited appeal for sports games. But just one that I was happy to get the manual for. Again, just very weird. This manual doesn't go for a lot, but it was one I could never find in my travels, just searching through manuals at cons and things like that also. So happy to get one knocked off the list, and it gets me a little bit closer to that set. So where does that leave us? Well, guess what? That's it for the month. Again, very light, and I apologize about that, but I think that April is looking much more interesting. I've got some travel coming up right away at the start of the month and also at the end of the month. And so hopefully through that I will find some new things. I'm going to be exploring some parts of the country that I haven't been to in a long time. So looking forward to having maybe some more things to share next month, and I'll give a report on if I continue to sell off some things or if that was just a quick blip and made my room and then going to move back on to start filling it back up. So hopefully you enjoyed. Please take a moment, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.